तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् तत्सवितुर्वरं रूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् ॐ आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे ॐ आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे Open my mind, my heart, my life to your light, your love, your power in all things. May I see the divine. Open my mind, my heart, my life to your light, your love, your power in all things. May I see the divine. Sri Aurobindo Sharanam Mama. Sri Aurobindo Sharanam Mama. Sri Aurobindo Sharanam Mama.
So welcome everyone. Let us start. So today we have to begin from page number 46, Integral Healing. 46 on this PDF that we have. Weakness of the nervous envelope. Yeah. Okay, so let's take this passage up. Anyone who would like to read?
Can do it.
Yes, please. Yeah.
The mother, to whatever cause an illness may be due, material or mental, external or internal, it must, before it can affect the physical body, touch another layer of the being that surrounds and protects it. This subtle layer is called in different teachings by various names. The etheric body, the nervous envelope. It is subtle body and yet almost visible. In density, something like the vibration that you see around a very hot and steaming object. It emanates from the physical body and closely covers it. All communications with the exterior world are made through this medium. And it is this that must be invaded and penetrated first before the body can be affected. If this envelope is absolutely strong and intact, you can go into places infested with the worst of disease even plague and cholera, and remain quite immune. It is a perfect protection against all possible attacks of illness, so long as it is whole and entire, thoroughly, truly consistent in its composition, its elements in faultless balance. This body is built up on the one side of a material basis, but rather of vibrations of our psychological states, peace and equanimity and confidence, faith in health, undisturbed response and cheerfulness and bright gladness constitute this element in it and give it strength and substance. It is a very sensitive medium with facile and quick reaction. It readily takes in all kinds of suggestions and this can rapidly change and almost remold its condition. A bad suggestion acts very strongly upon it. A good suggestion operates in the contrary sense with the same force. Depression and discouragement have a very adverse effect. They cut out holes in it, as it were, in its very stuff, render it weak and unresting and open to us hostile attacks and easy passage.
Thank you. So, this is very interesting. We can actually do a meditation today towards the end. Just a second. So I think we'll try to touch the nervous envelope, because only in theory it's hard to touch the nervous envelope to know what exactly it is meant by having a crack in the nervous envelope. So we'll do a meditation today after we reflect on this passage. Just give me a moment. I think there are words of Sri Aurobindo which we can also explore on nervous envelope. That would be good. Anyway, in the meantime, we'll take up this passage. I'll just search exactly what I'm looking for, and then we can go ahead one by one. So I think first, it is very important for us to know and understand what Mother means by the nervous envelope here. Because to whatever cause an illness may be due, material or mental, external or internal, it must, before it can affect the physical body, touch another layer of the being that surrounds and protects it. So as if around the physical there is like a sheath, which can be called in Hindi Sukshma Sharir, or subtle body, or etheric body, ethereal body. This subtle layer is called in different teachings by various names. The etheric body, the nervous envelope. We are not aware, usually we are not aware of this body, because we are so involved with the grosser sheath, thinking that yes, this is what is me and rest everything I don't know, that we are rarely able to touch it and even feel it. Many of us may be able to feel it, which is good if we are naturally able to feel that nervous envelope. So it is a subtle body and yet almost visible. So many people who may have special powers, they may be able to actually see this body, this subtle body. In density, something like vibrations that you see around a very hot and steaming object. So if we look at a very hot object, we actually see, like, something wavy there around that thing which is very steamy. you see like something wavy there. It's not very tangible. Something like how from an incense stick comes these fumes, which are very beautiful if you look at it. So little less dense than that. All communication, so it emanates from the physical body and closely covers it. All communication with the exterior world are made through this medium, and it is this that must be invaded and penetrated first before the body can be affected. And I'm reminded of how in olden times we used to have big forts of kings' palaces. And if you have noticed, around those palaces would be like a khai, it's like, I don't know how, what would you, like a ditch, like a big ditch. So if there are invaders coming, sometimes even water in that ditch, they have to first go through that round area which is enveloping the palace, and then only they can, if they invade through that, then they can enter the main palace or the fort. So something like that. So all communications with the exterior world are made through this medium. It comes in between, can't be bypassed. And it is this that must be invaded and penetrated first before the body can be affected. If this envelope is absolutely strong and intact, now one can wonder how to make it strong, and we first, we'll read something else so that we know what it is. If this envelope is absolutely strong and intact, you can go into places infested with the worst of diseases, even plague and cholera, and remain quite immune. I think for Mother says, since people consciously on the path of yoga, at times we become too sensitive, and for people consciously on the path of yoga, it becomes even necessary to have that protection. And as Mother talks about japa, taking Mother's name and being in Mother's presence, inward presence all the time, that also creates like a protective uh, atmosphere around us. So it is a perfect protection against all possible attacks of illness, so long as it is whole and entire, thoroughly consistent in its composition, its elements, and faultless balance. This body is built up on one side of a material basis, but rather of material conditions than of physical matter. On the other, of the vibration of our psychological states. So the kind of thoughts we are having, the kind of feelings we are entertaining, that would affect the harmony and integrity of that envelope. And we may have not noticed many times that everything is good and hunky-dory. Suddenly we have a bad will about something, ill will and some bad thought, which we may not entertain, but it comes and we get engaged into it. And then that makes a crack in that envelope. So it kind of pierces it, and then one is open and vulnerable to that attack if we engage in that kind of psychological state. Peace and equanimity and confidence, faith in health, undisturbed repose and cheerfulness, and bright gladness. So we have how to make it stronger. Peace, equanimity, confidence, faith in health, undisturbed repose, and cheerfulness and bright gladness constitute this element in it and give it strength and substance. And if we want to make it weaker, we can just make it opposite. Disturbed peace, chaos in the being, unhappiness, sorrow, disturbing emotions, thoughts, all of that will be creating a disturbance in the substance of the nervous envelope. It is a very sensitive medium with facile and quick reactions. It readily takes in all kinds of suggestions, so it is very vulnerable. It can be given strength, but since it is very sensitive, it is also very vulnerable. So it is very sensitive medium with facile and quick reactions. It readily takes in all kinds of suggestions, and these can rapidly change and almost remold its conditions. So good also and bad also, because it's like water and a stone. If you try to work on stone, it's hard to say, for example, if water is falling, it will take many uh, years and months before it can make a crack on the stone. But if it is water that we are dealing with, moment you put one drop of some poison or anything, water takes it, because water is more malleable, it is more sensitive, fluid, it is more, one can say it has more life. So because it has more life, it also has the vulnerability. As we see with flowers, they have more life than stones, but they also are vulnerable to attack. They can wilt easily, one can trample upon them and then they will die. So that kind of a sensitivity. A bad suggestion acts very strongly upon it. A good suggestion operates in the contrary sense with the same force. So vice versa. And every moment I can choose what am I creating for myself. And we can't blame it on anything. Even outer situation has no, uh, may not have any influence if I keep that nervous envelope intact through japa or whatever, mother's force. Depression and discouragement have a very adverse effect. They cut out holes in it, as it were, in its very stuff, render it weak and unresisting and open to hostile attacks and easy passage. So, whenever we are indulging in everything that is disturbing and taking away the peace, we are actually making it open for attack. That come, okay, I am open, and whatever forces, evil forces want to come, adverse forces, they can come now and attack. We think that outwardly it's happening, but we are ourselves also opening, being vulnerable. Yeah. So this is very, very important, I believe, this passage. Any thoughts, anyone? Anything to share here?
I was thinking in Jesus Christ, well, in the story of Jesus Christ, when he go to the people that is ill, in the leprous people, and he just, I never get like contagious, and everybody's like, no, you cannot touch them, don't touch them, and he's like, no, I mean, they are not going to do anything to me, so it's like, yes, it's this kind of vibration, no, that the mother is just talking about.
Yes, yes. We have actually many other examples also, along with the example that you shared, Jesus Christ. Here in India, they used to be a very famous master, one can say, social activist, also worker, who selflessly worked for people who with leprosy, and he himself always did not get infected. So Baba Amte, because people were always afraid of people who have leprosy not going near to them, and even if you want to help, how do you do that? But he was working in the middle of that, and many other examples. Yes. Yeah. So we'll take up something from Sri Aurobindo where he talks about this envelope. Maybe just for clarity's sake. Um, oh, I'm so sorry. Where did that come from? Oh God. Where is my incarnate word? Yeah. Yeah. So in this Letters on Yoga, Sri Aurobindo talks about planes and parts of our being. Here we have on something on nervous envelope. So let's take this up so that it becomes clear for us. Yeah. Anyone who would like to read this thing?
Yeah, I can go. If we live only in the outward physical consciousness, we do not usually know that we are going to be ill until the symptoms of the malady declare themselves in the body. But if we develop the inward physical consciousness, we become aware of a subtle environment, mental, physical atmosphere, and can feel the forces of illness coming towards us through it. Feel them even at a distance, and if we have learned how to do it, we can stop them by the will or otherwise. We sense too around us a vital physical or nervous envelope which radiates from the body and protects it. And we can feel the adverse forces trying to break through it and can interfere, stop them, or reinforce the nervous envelope. Should I go on? Or we can feel the symptoms of illness, fever, or cold, for instance, in the subtle physical sheath before they are manifest in the gross body and destroy them there, preventing them from manifesting in the body. Take now the call for the divine power, light, Ananda. If we live only in the outward physical consciousness, it may descend and work behind the veil, but we shall feel nothing and only see certain results after a long time. Or at most, we feel a certain clarity and peace in the mind, a joy in the vital, a happy state in the physical, and infer the touch of the divine. But if we are awake in the inward physical, we shall feel the light, power of Ananda flowing through the body, the limbs, nerves, blood, breath, and through the subtle body, affecting the most material cells and making them conscious and blissful, and we shall sense directly the divine power and presence. These are only two instances out of 1,000 that are possible and can be constantly experienced by the sadhaka.
So, I think many of us may have felt at times we are conscious, most of the times we are not, but at times we are conscious whenever something is entering us. Usually we become aware only when the disease has gotten us, but at times we become aware when it's entering, like when it's taking the passage in, at times we become aware of that. And at times we can also locate how we made a crack in that envelope. We may not know the name nervous envelope, but we may notice that, okay, maybe this is what I was thinking. Some kind of a disturbing thought, judgmental, limiting thought, through which we kind of open this nervous envelope, and then we can call the force and at times be able to work with it. At times we have to go through the disease, illness, because it has already entered. So I think this is very good, because usually my focus is always on the grosser things. I'm so busy with the grosser things that there is hardly any time to feel and sense the inward, inner, like he says that Even when the divine force comes in the body, and it is actually, you can sense the power and the force coming down into your limbs. It is not something intangible completely. So for example, when we become mindful of our breath, then we became aware of the subtlety of the breath, which so far we were not available to. It was there, but my mind was so engrossed in the outward happenings that I was not available to that subtle presence of breath. And all this, the ether, the etheric body, it is present, but I'm so involved in the outward world that I have no time to attend to this. So for those of us who now have grown enough through their experiences, that okay, the outer experiences do not, they're not primary, they are a part of our life, but it's not that they're like, oh my god, oh my god, they're like not too much excitement, not too much disappointment. Then we can turn the microscope inward and become available to these subtle happenings which are already happening, but I was not available. So then we can also actually touch and feel this nervous envelope. And the moment I touch and feel, then I can also strengthen it. Earlier I was not even aware that it is there. Now I am available to it, that oh, there is something which is there, maybe I can make it stronger now. And this, we have to see that this cannot come before we begin to purify our thoughts and feelings, because the basis is peace and equanimity if we want to make it stronger. So the more ill will, bad thoughts, disturbing emotions we engage in, and the purification is not there, we can't, first of all, sense it, and secondly, we can't strengthen it. So to strengthen it and to even sense it, we need to have a certain degree of purification in our being, that the being is not, there is an active want to purify the being, and then slowly the inner sense awakens and you become aware that okay, there is something like this nervous envelope. And then slowly, through the power of mother's name, or calling the divine force, or connecting with our true consciousness, we can make it stronger, rejecting all the ill wills and disturbing emotions and thoughts. We can make it stronger. Yeah, anything here? We'll do a meditation afterwards. Anything here? Anyone wants to share on this nervous envelope?
Yeah, one thing that's coming to me is that I am so used to the material, right? The solid, the hard, that जैसे कहते हैं ना जड़ बुद्धि, कि उसको और कुछ comprehend ही नहीं होता. So if I hear this, what we read from the book, sometimes it feels a bit wishy-washy. Like you read it, it sounds beautiful, and then you forget it. So I think like the physical was developed, right? Like, there are instances in which children are probably left in a forest, they were raised by a wolf or a chimpanzee, these things come in the news, and then they are very gross, right? Like they are very just like that. Even the material has not developed fully because the training has not been done. So it appears that if this feels wishy-washy to me, that means I haven't trained my my perception of that. I don't have that sensitivity towards that. And like when you were sharing, especially that when we become conscious of the breath, we see how it plays, how it's different, how I can through it control my emotion senses. Before I get angry, I can see that change in that movement, for example. So similar to that, if I'm finding it wishy-washy, that doesn't mean it is wishy-washy. I have not developed my sensitivity towards it. And now, if this feels that ab or nahi, right? Like it is there, I've heard it so many times, then I'll have to make an effort. Like it just doesn't dawn like this by just knowing. If I want it to be a reality for me, then I'll have to engage in making myself more, I don't know, aware or sensitive towards its presence. Because once you start, like, you were talking about people can see energies and all. even there are courses in which they are taught aura readings. I don't know how aware we are of that. Like those things actually can be even taught, even without, how much sadhana. These are courses. So those are real, and it's just about how real I want, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's up to me if it's a reality for me or not. It is there for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think one can't force it, although it has to be a cultivation, as you said. I have to cultivate. But as I was sharing that, I feel that one must reach now a certain point in one's progress that really that grosser things that you were talking of, they are not glittery anymore. One has lived and lived and lived and lived much enough in that grosser domain that वहाँ का glitter जो है, the glitter that calls you there, because as long as I'm attracted there, I can't sense this subtle thing. So very rightly you were sharing, कि that grosser thing, one has to, through our own experiences, one has to come to a point. It may not be a right point for everyone who is attending the session, right? And it doesn't mean anything superior or inferior, no, but it just means that I have lived enough the gross senses that now they are not attractive anymore, those domains. And now something in us happens which inwardly makes us shift to this presence of something subtle. And now I also have the will to cultivate it, what you were sharing, that it has to be cultivated, one has to train. Why would I train? Because now I feel a willingness that yes, this is something which is important, and let me cultivate it. So yes, to a degree, as one progresses and goes ahead, and then one would also feel motivated, like joyful effort, that okay, I want to sit, I want to now sense this nervous envelope and make it stronger or whatever. Otherwise, absolutely what you were sharing, that it does appear like some mumbo jumbo or wishy-washy. And if it is right now appearing that to me, I don't think that you can actually begin to cultivate when it is appearing wishy-washy. No, maybe my time right now has not come. Maybe right now I have to live more in that grosser domain, so that through my more experiences I become convinced that okay, sooner or later I come back to it again. But at least one knows that okay, there is something. Yeah. Yes.
Monica, when you were talking about the will to cultivate, I just got the thought that came into my mind uh, of my own journey. And I have often sensed that whenever there's a change of season, everywhere, people experience various symptoms in their body. Uh, from winter to summer or whatever, we have sore throat, we have cold and all that. And apart from this, also some bodily symptoms like aches and pains and all that. And it persists over a there are certain seasons in which it becomes pronounced in some person. It's not the same with everyone, but for a particular individual, the moment that particular season is approaching, the person starts experiencing certain symptoms in the body, pain and aches and all that. And once that season goes away, once the time has passed on, again it vanishes and reappears again and again. And we often feel that, and it is from my own journey. Many years back, I would not like winters. And the winter season about to come, and I would start having this repulsive feeling within myself. क्यों आ रहा है विंटर, अब इतनी ठंड हो जाएगी अब, so many clothes you have to wear and all that, walk around in the house also with all clad with clothes and all that. So I never liked that. And I wanted to be like free, wearing minimal clothes. But in India, it's like, you can't be carrying a radiator or heater everywhere. So you have to work, you have to go out and all that. So I never liked it. And winters aate hi zukam hona, gala kharab hona, it used to be, that was a few days it would be there, or maybe for a month it would be there. And then I would be drinking warm water and this and that. And even I'm going out and socializing, and I would be always telling, नहीं मेरा गला खराब है, मुझे कोई drink नहीं चाहिए. I mean, normal drink की बात कर रही हो, चाहे जैसे भी drink हो, ठंडा कुछ नहीं चाहिए. What I meant was that. So, and people would be taking special pains to prepare something warm for me. And this was a ritual. And this was many years back. And then one particular year, it suddenly dawned on me that, am I creating it? Am I unconsciously or subconsciously doing something? And I said, why am I so repulsive to this particular season, this winter? And I started thinking, and I said, okay, I love winter. I started creating this belief, not that I did love it, but it came as a mental. I mean, you can't start loving something automatically, but you have to start from somewhere. So it just came as a thought. I think it must be some divine grace, certainly. So I started thinking, this time I'm going to embrace it, I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to say, I'm going to enjoy it. It's fine. Winter is, you're so, you don't feel so tired. You can do your whole work and you're so energized. There's so many good part of a winter. And I don't remember whether it was that year, but over a period of time, whether it is winter or summer or any other season, it doesn't come as a, it's not something that I'm not liking it, or liking or not liking. There's no like, there's no dislike. It is just that as it is. And somehow I've been able to get myself out of that compulsive thought of not accepting something. And I've seen it with many other people in all around me, that ab summer aa raha hai, or Indian summers are like, they go to the extreme. And many of us will start talking, oh my God, garmi aa raha hai, ab garmi. And we don't realize that when we are, either when we are thinking also, or when we are uttering few words also, whether we are saying it or not, or whether even when we are thinking, all of them, we are actions. So we are emitting those vibrations, we are giving it in the environment, and we are creating negativities. We are, with vibrations, there is energy. With energy, there is physical manifestations. And this physical manifestation is nothing that it is only coming to our own body. So with summer or winter or whatever reason, or barish wala mausam, if we are too much cribbing about it, then that very thing becomes a cause of an unrest, a disharmony in our own body. Because whatever is happening in the macrocosm, in the outside world, in this environment, everything is all contained within our own self, the microcosm that we call. So the whole, everything that is outside, we represent that. Our body, each being represents that. So we are a part of the nature. So अगर बाहर की चीज नहीं acceptable है, तो अंदर वो thought है हमारे it's going on, seeping into every cell of our body, and it is creating that belief. It is in the subconscious. And even, let's say that if this year I thought something and the next year I'm not thinking, but over the years, if I have created a certain thought pattern, that even if consciously at this very moment I am not thinking consciously that I don't like this, but yet I will experience those symptoms. So just this thought came into my mind. You were just talking about it, and I thought of just sharing my own experience and talking about it. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. I think the thing that you were sharing, that why would I cultivate anything in me? I would cultivate anything in me, first of all, because I've gotten disgusted with the previous self that I am. And I just don't want to take it anymore further. And then I begin to cultivate something positive. So that conviction has to be there whenever there is cultivation of anything, whether what you were sharing, that liking, disliking, going beyond the liking and disliking of seasons. So first we have to go through that liking and disliking for a long time. Then we say, why am I doing it? I want not to be here because it's limiting and suffocating. And then one begins to cultivate something positive and large and expansive. Yes.
To
Yeah.
break free from our own compulsions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we just last few words first we take from the mother, where I found it very interesting. She says that very often we feel very attracted to some people or want company of those people who actually are bringing a reinforcement to that nervous envelope. We may not be aware of the word nervous envelope, we may not be ever available to what is the mechanics of it, what is it doing to me, but naturally we feel inclined to be with those people who create strengthening in that envelope. So here she shares that it is the action of this medium that partly explains why people often feel a spontaneous and unreasoning attraction or repulsion for each other, even repulsion, because those people who we feel as if they are piercing holes into our nervous envelope, we may not want to go close to, we may not want to interact much with. The first seat of these reactions is in the protecting envelope. Easily we feel attracted towards people who bring a reinforcement to our nervous envelope, and we are repelled by those who disturb or hurt it. Whatever gives it a sense of expansion, comfort, and ease, whatever makes it respond with a feeling of happiness and pleasure, exercises on us at once an attraction. When we call it also maybe vibes of people, for us it may be just the word vibe, that I like somebody's vibe because maybe it's strengthening that happiness and envelope. When the effect is in the contrary sense, it responds with a protecting repulsion, because you want to protect that envelope inwardly. Yeah? So you don't know the mechanics of it, how it's working, but you sense an unease while you go close to that person, so you begin to avoid that person. You would take a different route and not go close, even if you're going to come together. This movement when two people meet is often mutual, so the other person may also be feeling a repulsion while you feel a repulsion, the other, vice versa. This movement when two people meet is often mutual. It is not, of course, the only cause of affinities, but it is one and a very frequent cause. So I felt this was very, revelatory, this particular one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, anything here before we do a small experiment with touching the nervous envelope? For those of us who may not want to engage, feel free to disengage from the experiment. I won't take much long. Just to those of us who may be inclined that how do I sense it, maybe we can try. And for that, I was sharing that it would be nice if for now, for at least these few minutes, we can be totally disengaged from our thoughts and feelings, because as long as I am engaged in the thoughts and feelings and pretty interested in that, I may not be able to sense anything apart from that. So just maybe taking a relaxed pose, in gathering our energies, just leaving behind any doubts, confusions that we may have about this exercise. Just for a moment, in faith, we just leave it aside, just like a blank slate. Just forget that you can actively think about anything. Just keep the thinking, active thinking aside. All your life stories, everything just right now can wait. Just coming within, coming home in the body. centering ourselves in the breath. Telling myself I am home. I am home. The mind is home in the body. No concern, no worry, nothing doing. Just a relaxed coming back home. And now, just for a moment, leaving aside any doubts, confusions, skepticism, we place our attention above our head. A couple of inches above our head, not right at the top, a few inches above the head. We begin to place our attention there. We begin to become aware of that space above our head. Like coming in touch with the space, the empty space that is there above the head. Feeling the space, not buying into any doubts, confusions, whether I am sensing it right or wrong, not going there. Just like an innocent child, placing attention above the head and getting in touch with the space above the head. And feeling that substance which is up there. Just like how you can feel the body. Right now, if we come back to the attention to body, you can feel it. And then when we go up above the head, you can also sense that space, the etheric space above the head. And the more we stabilize our attention there, the more concrete that space becomes for us. It is there. It has a substance. And that substance is not only above, but all around and invading the body. In it, the body is held. Like how space is holding the body. And like that etheric substance is holding the body. The physical manifestation is a part of it. And feel the expansion if you can, when you get in touch with that space as your true being, true consciousness. Embracing, holding the body. And above the head, as if there is a little pool or small lake of that substance, which you can from time to time you can refill. Let it come in the body from above the head. And that consciousness of force above the head is also connected with all the universe. But the one which is right above your head is your own personal space through which you can regather, refurnish yourself. And from time to time, we can go there, again, refill our energies, get some force, some light, some peace, all available 24/7. And the more we stabilize our consciousness in this etheric envelope that is there, the more we make it concrete, we give it strength. And even when something may be happening in the body which may be disturbing, we can take energies from this pool above our head, let the force come down through the top of the head, come in the body and replenish the body, reharmonize the body. As if there is a hole that you have created above the head, through which now the force and the light and the joy, all of that can descend in the body. You've opened the tap through your attention. And you can sense at times, actually, you can sense it inwardly working on the body, the force descending and working on the body. In your own way, one can sense it. Keeping all the doubts, confusions aside, there is no place for that here. So this is what we can time to time get in touch with whenever we have empty pockets of time. Usually we engage in our thoughts and past and future and present commentaries and worries. So whenever we have empty pockets of time, we refill and rejuvenate ourselves. And make it more concrete. That becomes our reality, not the grosser body in which we are mostly entangled. And even if when we may be ill in the physical body, we know that there is more to me than the physical body. And we can try to get in touch with that etheric envelope and we draw force from there. We can open the tap by our attention and let it come down, penetrate our being, like how rain moistens each particle of soil. Let it, let yourself be porous and let it just drown you in that light, peace, and joy. And when you feel that the force is now, maybe you are feeling as if it's gone again, then you again place your attention above the head and you feel again that you've made a connection, and then it can come down. Yeah, so that was just to give us a taste how we can make use of our time throughout the day. So again, psychological state is very important here, because I won't be able to stabilize myself and actually make the strength, make it stronger, make the nervous envelope stronger if my psychological state is imbalanced. If I'm engaging actively in disturbing thoughts and feelings, I won't be able to uh, make it stronger. So it's very good, if those of us who have now this conviction that it is actually futile to remain in the realm of uh, the repetitive incessant loops of thoughts and feelings, then I can allow the silence and peace and force to come, which is always available. It is right with us all the time, waiting for us to acknowledge it. Yeah, so I mean, all the hints and clues are given in this passage. A bad suggestion acts very strongly, a good suggestion operates in the contrary sense. So, Mother talks about in powers within. Mother shares that since people like to think and they have a hobby to incessantly think, it is very good to notice your thinking and to take it forward in a positive sense. So if maybe I'm worried about my health, or what would happen of me, or what would happen to my children, the moment you notice yourself going there, immediately you make it into a positive suggestion. How? Mother says that, okay, say, I am a mother's child, everyone is mother's child, and mother is taking care of everything, so what do I have to fear? So making it large, expansive, positive, strengthening, rather than the suggestion which goes in a negative loop. That's how we can make it stronger. Yeah, anything here?
I think the last part where it says that, the positive reinforces it, the negative takes it. So again, one can falsely believe that what to do, that these are my circumstances, right? If I am exposed to such people who are negative or those suggestions are there, I remember, again, I don't know, talking 15 years back or something, in general, like, say I would do it this way, or this is how I take this. And my brother, he would say कि तारू दीदी इंडिया में रहते हो, यहाँ पे ये नहीं होता है टाइप ना, he would try to say this is not how this works. And I remember this certitude that I don't know how it works, but I know this is how I will work. And it wasn't something that I felt I am holier than thou, for example. But whenever he would try to just suggest this is not how the world works, there was this very strong certitude that it may not, but that's not my world. And it always happened the way, it's like if I wanted something, if I had said, okay, anything, I mean, there are so many examples. So again, that is my choice that if I bend down that I say, oh, this is how it works. Oh, sorry, I was thinking I did not work that way. So, you know how it's again Mother says, right? You're more than our circumstances. So this is how we practically implement it, right? One thing is just listening. Oh, I'm more than my circumstances. But in my day to day, if I'm just saying that मैं क्या करूं मैं मजबूर हूँ, how do I do it? Like I'm just limited by these circumstances, these relations, these people in a toxic environment or something. The shield that you were talking about, or that certitude, for everybody their own thing, it is there just a matter of, how they say, which wolf would you feed, right? That story of the white wolf and the dark wolf. So it's very real when you kind of make it that, no, I don't want to believe in that. Or it's
Absolutely.
not even a choice, right?
Not
You
even a
just
choice. Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. And what are these doubts that you were sharing? That this is not how things work. This is a thought. So as long as I am involved in these thoughts and believe in it, actually it is impossible to get in touch with my inner being. I can't. And we've been reading that line from Savitri, where the voice says to Savitri, remember why thou came. And there you see clearly, cast away the sense that veils the soul's sight. So if I want the sight of the soul, then it is not through my normal senses and interpretations that I continue to work and believe in all that, and yet also I have the soul sight. That is not going to happen. So a certain stillness and peace and stability, a certain degree, it may not be a complete, needs to be there if I want to now open up to the subtle consciousness, the true consciousness. Yeah, so disengagement from these thoughts would be a requirement, necessary requirement. All the doubts, confusion, skepticism, they have no place. Yeah.
I just got reminded of Bhagavad Gita, in which, Arjun is asking Krishna how to disengage from the thoughts. Because where mind is, thoughts are going to be there. And we are all mental beings. We are full of thoughts. But how we mental being rise above our thoughts? How we not live in these thoughts? And Krishna replies this, he says that yes, where mind is, thoughts are going to be there. You cannot but stop thinking. Even if somebody is not doing any external action, even thought is an action. So you cannot stay away from action. So all you have to do, if mind is there and thoughts is going to be, is inevitable, what you have to do is to fix it on something higher. Instead of being in that compulsive thought that we all are, in the grip of our own compulsive nature, we have to start from somewhere and we have to fix it on something higher, which is divine, which is the very essence of who we are. And as you had said, that japa and chanting mother's name. So whenever we have such a situation in our life where it is very challenging and we are gripped in the grip of our thoughts, negative thoughts, it is sometimes bound, inevitable, that something happens which is not desirable, which is not as one had illness or whatever. One does get under the grip of fear. But are we to allow ourselves to be overpowered by fear, or do we have a way out? And that is what I just wanted to say, that yes, we do have a way out. Only if we will it, if we want it, we can at least fix it on something. Otherwise our mind will go on thinking in its compulsive pattern. Our brain will keep on firing the same things and the same vicious cycle. So it has helped for me many a times, chanting mother's name, chanting mantras, japas. If I fix it there, I won't say that immediately everything changes, but at least it takes my mind away from that compulsive thinking pattern into something. Though I come back there, but I again go back, go try and take it back there. And over a period of time, it does help. And maybe, and over a period of time, we can train ourselves that even when challenging things happen, we don't get into that grip. But this is a journey, this is a practice that we have to do every time, because life is full of challenges. It is better be, because we have to rise above, we have to reach that infinity, that goal. So obviously our aspiration is towards that, so perfecting ourselves, becoming better than who we are today. We can every day aspire to become better, and that aspiration is inherent, inbuilt in us, and we can do it too. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so anything here? Anyone? Anything more? So we are here. I think we should take maybe the next step, how the forces of illness attack. Maybe next time. And today we can take. Yeah, yes, Priyanka?
Yeah, that would be better. I was just
Yes,
going to say that.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes, yes. We'll take it next time. So, any last comments or reflections here on what we did today? Yeah, someone shared a cartoon today, and it was very spot on, that cartoon, where it was there was a person who is saying that, uh, like wishing, like praying that whoever is my worst enemy, may he disappear. And in the next cartoon, the person himself disappears. So I thought it was really pretty remarkable, that cartoon. And that's what we do. We are our own enemies unknowingly, in our ignorance. And if we now become conscious of what all that we are doing which is damaging our own self, if we can stop that. And uh, yeah, here it is. Thank you. Yeah, so he's standing next to a wishing well. I wish that whoever is running my life would just disappear. Yeah, this one. And he himself disappears. So, yes. So, if we now
Not running, but ruining.
ruining, yeah, that's what I thought. It was ruining. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Please
I'm
share
not,
this cartoon in the group also, in the
yeah,
WhatsApp group. It's so nice.
yeah, it's so apt. Yes.
Yeah.
So now that we know that we are the one piercing holes in our nervous envelope, maybe now we can stop doing it and make it more strong, as Priyanka and others were sharing, chanting Mother's name and whoever resonates with us, any divine name, and making it like strong so that it can become a strong instrument, and we can give ourselves health back that we have ourselves taken away from us. Yeah. So, any last anythings? Okay, so in that case, we maybe take a pause here, and then before we leave, just sharing, dedicating the merit of collective reflection, reading, understanding, joy, clarity, everything to all the sentient beings. May our hearts be full, content, minds uncomplicated and simple. And may we have lots of health, joy, and happiness and progress in our life. May we all feel empowered to take steps to take care of our life. If we can ruin our life, we can also newly create our life. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.